Okay, this should be live. So this video is for a big announcement, and also the place I'm standing in is a bit of an announcement, but that's not it. But this place, I'll just show you, is being built with the help from my friend, fellow martial artist and YouTuber Damien. Check out his channel on YouTube, Monkey Fist, and he's turning this into a bit of a kwoon. And there's not a lot of space because this is actually a laundry room as well. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff here. But this will be a place to train, especially as I become a father and have less chances to leave the house. It's nice to have a place to train martial arts and perhaps record a few videos once in a while with some martial arts friends. But there's another announcement, which is something I just found out about yesterday morning, and the details have been more or less finalized. And that's that I'm having a kickboxing fight, and it will be actually pretty soon. It will be on the 25th of August on a Sunday at Nørrebro in a public ring there, in a boxing ring. And I'll be facing a kickboxer from Sweden. His name is Robin, and he's bigger than me, so it'll be a catchweight type of fight. He's also relatively fit, but also, as you may know, if you're bigger and have more muscle, then that can also hurt the endurance. But it'll be interesting and a big challenge, and for me it's just like a victory in itself, just stepping inside the ring, just conquering that fear, and just hopefully putting up a good performance for all of you watching, and for myself, of course. And I hope that no one will get seriously hurt during this fight, and if that does have to happen, I hope, of course, it won't be me. So we've got some live comments, and got Darwin saying good luck with fatherhood, and thank you. That's gonna be probably the biggest challenge I've ever taken on in my life, and the most important one for sure. Kickboxing versus Kung Fu, I guess you can call it that, yeah. So we'll be using kickboxing gloves. So I'll be doing some kickboxing like offense, but mixing it with my Kung Fu kicks. And actually an interesting detail is my opponent, he used to train some northern Kung Fu back in the day, not sure whether it's Shaolin or not, in Sweden, but he's trained kickboxing since, and I've also taken some kickboxing classes. In fact, I just came home from a kickboxing class tonight, but I'm definitely more of a Kung Fu guy than this guy. I haven't seen any footage of him. Of course, he has the chance to check out more than 300 videos on my channel, Zen-Dragon, on YouTube. But I'm expecting him to be more of a kickboxer, but perhaps he won't be as surprised by the unusual type of Kung Fu-like kicking, because he's trained some. But I also know that depending on where you train Kung Fu and how, perhaps there's not that much sparring, because that's not the only focus when you're training Kung Fu. And yeah, it's gonna be a challenge for sure, and it's gonna be an interesting experience. And I'm gonna record it. And also you can show up for free and watch the event. Now, the exact time is not planned yet, but it will be on Sunday, the 25th of August, and it will be actually at Den Røde Plads at Nørrebro, where there's a public ring. And I'm expecting my opponent to be more used to maneuvering around inside a ring, and perhaps he can try. I'll probably have to avoid trying to get cornered, but we'll see. I've got some plans for that as well. And I've also sparred in the ring before, and I did some hard sparring where it was actually animal style kung fu against a Sanda opponent wearing protective goggles so I could actually strike for the eyes. It's just gonna be a very interesting video, but still this is my first sort of competitive fight, and it's gonna definitely be a challenge. Thank you, Darwin. I will definitely be mindful of keeping my hands up, and yeah, for sure. And also it's one of the many things I have on my bucket list, so it's nice to get that checked off also before becoming a father. So for sure. Another thing on my bucket list has always been to try what it's like to be like a martial arts actor, like an action hero type of thing. And I got to try that, as many of you already know, with the miniseries Dragens Skæbne, or in English, Fate of the Dragon. So there's already been 2 episodes out, which you can find on YouTube. Just write Breakzone Films, and you'll find both episodes on YouTube, and there'll be 5 all in all. So between that and then having this kickboxing fight in the ring, and then also just having this place built, there's been a lot of my dreams coming true lately, I think, in terms of that. And just overall, throughout the years, I've experienced so much with this project Zen-Dragon. And even though I'll have to scale down my productivity level, because the key thing is gonna be to be present with the kid and the baby, I'll still keep sharing content. As a matter of fact, I already have a ton of produced videos ready, but I won't upload every week because I want to make sure that I'm not spending too much time promoting and responding to all of your comments and stuff like that. Let me see, speaking of comments, we got Anthony Perez. So, drunken kung fu is something that's very difficult to pull off. It's really one of the highest level of artistic expression in martial arts, and of course there's also a combat strategy or tactics behind it, as you're trying to appear out of balance while always maintaining balance and striking your opponent. And even though it's a tiny part of the Kung Fu system I've trained at the highest level, at black belt, I'm definitely not at a level where I can even perform like a well-executed drunken form, or even less so perform it in sparring. But there's actually a video, and I showed it in one of my compilations on my channel, a clip of this, where there's this guy who's actually using drunken kung fu in a kickboxing fight, and I think it's an MMA fight actually, because they also go to the ground, and it's pretty interesting. So I think the key thing is to be able to move and be used to getting hit and delivering punches, and then if you also got really good drunken boxing, then you can pull it off. But I'll be using my kung fu in terms of my kung fu kicks, and there's some things you can't do in kickboxing obviously, but I'll be wearing the gloves, so it'll be kind of a mix of kung fu and kickboxing. Some people like to call that Sanda, but essentially the way I kick most often, it's more savate-like, I think, because I do mostly I kick with the instep. And if it's slow kicks or something, I'm gonna aim with the shin, and maybe to mix it up, gonna do that sometimes. But that's more of a saboteur-like thing, and I'm really inspired by the way they're able to piece together combinations with multiple strikes from boxing and then finish with some nice fancy kicks. So we'll see. Hopefully in this fight I'm gonna be able to show something from Kung Fu and deliver a good performance. That's really my focus. It's whether I win or not, the true victory for me is whether I perform well. And like I said already, ideally I'd most rather have that no one is seriously hurt. Of course I want to deliver some damage to my opponent, but if we can both walk away from this fight without any serious injuries, then that's gonna be nice. But again, that's not something you can expect from a fight. It might be a fight ending on points, or it might be a knockout, you never know. But it's gonna be a 3-round fight, and it's also gonna be a rule set which I think is called full contact knockout rules or something like that. And basically what it means is if there's a knockout in the fight, then the fight will end right there. So you won't have a situation where someone is knocked out and they manage to get up before 10 seconds and perhaps they get knocked down again, because we're trying to prioritize safety here, and it's going to be very interesting. There's going to be a poster coming up as well, and yeah, I think I'm a little bit all over the place, I guess. I didn't really plan this video much, it's just a spontaneous thing. But the way this came together was actually because of Zen-Dragon in a sense, because it was from this guy Martin, who runs a martial arts gym and also a bodybuilding fitness gym as well in Sweden. And you can find him on Instagram, strength.by.martin, I think it is, strength by Martin. And he's been following Zen-Dragon for years, and then he reached out to me because he has a fighter who he wanted to provide a fight for, and we came up with this thing. And I was actually thinking about competing in a kickboxing tournament, because that's on my bucket list and I kind of want to do it before I become a father. But the date of that tournament was way too close to my girlfriend's pregnancy. So this is a nice solution to that problem. So I'm gonna be able to check that off my bucket list. We'll see. So I am the Dragon Shinran. You telegraph a lot. Thank you for the feedback. Definitely telegraphing is something I'm working on as well. There's a lot of details to focus on. I'm by far not perfect, but we'll see. And I appreciate you following. The thing is, when I'm sparring kickboxers, they tend to have a lot of experience and be really good at putting on the pressure, and it's definitely not easy. And I'm expecting, especially as this is a fight against someone who's about 15 kilos bigger than me, I'm expecting to perhaps get hurt a bit, and it'll definitely be a challenge because he'll have more weight behind his punches. But normally, what I have the most success with when sparring kickboxers is the type of kicks you don't normally find in Muay Thai, like hook kicks and crescent kicks and such. But then again, this guy has also trained some Northern Kung Fu back in the day, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, I definitely used telegraphing to feint. Actually, at one point, like last week, I did that in sparring, where I actually landed a question mark kick on a very experienced fighter. And it was because I started out early in the sparring session with a front kick, and then I delivered some kind of combo with my hands, and then I did the question mark and it landed flush. So sometimes that happens, and generally I try to set up my kicks a lot of times with feints or combos with the hands, but I'm not perfect, so sometimes perhaps it's a bit too telegraphed. Hopefully my opponent isn't perfect either. No man tends to be, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, and I'm also gonna record this thing, and hopefully I have something nice to share with you, regardless of the outcome of the fight. We'll see. For me, it's more about the experience than anything. I know that if I face someone who's not as good as me, at least on that day, then I'll do better. Or if it's the opposite thing, then I'll do worse compared to that person, but my only comparison is with myself. So even theoretically, I could win a fight and be off my game and not perform well, and then I would actually feel worse about that than if I had a great performance and lost anyway. So the rule set for this fight, sorry, I'm a little bit tired and also a bit thirsty, so my English is kind of lagging today. But the rule set is, I think it's called full contact knockout or something. I'll drop the name of the rule set in the description, as well as some more in-depth explanation of what that means. But it's called something like that, and I guess it would typically be called something like a super fight or something. So yeah, that's about it. Unless there's any more questions, then I'm gonna finish the video, or perhaps I'm gonna just share with you my weapon collection as I'm down here, where most of my weapons are at this point. Here in the laundry room, there's some swords for sparring. Perhaps you've seen this in a couple of videos. This is polypropylene material, Dao, and this is the Jin. Check out the video Jin versus Dao if you want to see that type of content, light contact sparring with weapons. And then there's this one, which is also for sparring, a Dao as well. And let's see, there's a Sai here. There's the wooden dummy with the Zen-Dragon logo. And here we got the Nandao sword, a staff, a trident, 2 Guandaos, and the reason for that is this one, the wooden one, is for sparring. I have a few sparring videos already on my channel, so check those out if you want to watch the Guandao in action, and I've got one coming up as well. And a pair of axes, which are really heavy, so they're great for a functional workout if you want to play around with those. And also a pair of hook swords. These are also polypropylene material, so made for sparring. 3-sectional staff. And yeah, a pair of sai for sparring, and a pair of nunchaku for sparring, and a lot of stuff. And I got a few more weapons actually upstairs in the apartment. And Joel is watching as well. So if you're just catching this now, then the announcement is that I'm having a kickboxing fight, and it's gonna be a great challenge. It's a little bit, you never know what's gonna happen when you enter this type of thing, but I'm prepared to walk away either having injured my opponent or being injured myself. Hopefully we can both walk away with a good performance and no serious injuries, but you never know what's gonna happen in this type of situation. low kicks will be allowed, and luckily I've worked on checking low kicks and I've become a lot better than I used to be at doing that. Knees and elbows won't be allowed, and no grappling. It's a kickboxing fight, and it will be with knockout, full contact knockout rules, which means that it's an instant loss if you get knocked unconscious, which is good for safety purposes. So yeah, that's about it. And also this is a chance for you to see what fellow YouTuber Damien from the channel Monkey Fist has helped me create here in the basement. It's far from done, the work, but it's in progress. So a tiny training space right next to the laundry. Any more questions? I think that's about it actually. So one more thing, if you haven't seen Dragens Skæbne, Fate of the Dragon, then try writing Break Zone Films on YouTube to find the channel, or if you're Danish, just write Dragens Skæbne, and you can check out the first 2 episodes right now. They're available with English subtitles, and eventually there'll be 5 episodes and a lot of action coming out. So that's it. Thanks for watching. And yeah, just before I turn this thing off, shout out to Joel, who's also a YouTuber, so you can check out his channel. If you search Master Moo on YouTube, you'll probably find it. And it's got lots of vlogs, and he's just a great personality.